Let me tell you about my Auntie Kay, oldest living member of the family, a woman of character and integrity who drove her car to church on Sundays, loving every minute of it. But somewhere along the line on weekdays, she took lessons from Barney Oldfield. This is she, my Auntie Kay. Don't call her sweet, gentle, or old, or she'll hit you on the head. She can be pretty short with dunderheads like me who get fumble-fingered over moving vehicles and their component parts. She doesn't. You like her. Let me ask you, have you seen the boat swamping the water at 60 miles an hour in a jolting gallop for the cup? Well, my Auntie Kay has, and she can tell you all about it. Have you seen the sports cars sliding the hard right and gearing up to 100 miles an hour? Have you seen the tight, bright little racing machines called Formula One chasing each other down the straight at 150 miles an hour? Have you heard the cycles snarling insults at each other and seen them streak out in a championship race? Auntie Kay has. At home on the farm near Bradford, Pennsylvania, where she was born, she likes to sit on the back porch. Knitting? Not my Auntie Kay. She'll be cleaning and gapping a few spark plugs for the tractor. More likely, you'll find her out in the garage, prepping one of her collection of antique cars for a little spin. And if you don't find her around here anywhere, try a place like this, any place like this, wherever men and machines are in contest, wherever engines are tuned to stand the roughest test, she'll be there, somewhere. Maybe it's all the noise, the speed, the daredevil waltz of the riders as they pursue the curving course. Or they practice precision of a pit crew refueling the winner for his final lap. And after 2 hours and 150 pounding miles of racket and roar, just who do you suppose will say it is the final lap? Right, my Auntie Kay. And the winner can bet his prize money that by the time he changes clothes, my Auntie Kay will be on her way to some other place where men and machines are in contest. I made the mistake of remarking one time that it seems to me these racing boats travel farther on land than they do on water. And that they have to practically be thrown into the water when they finally get near it. Now, this I thought was funny, too. At least they don't have to worry about a wet track. Needless to say, this was pure irreverence to Auntie Kay. Listen and you'll see what I mean. When these motorboats are dumped into the drink...
Kenneth, how many times have I told you, not motorboats, hydroplanes? It means it receives its support from the dynamic reaction of the water upon the planes of its hull. And I think you better let me tell about it, nephew. You'll get yourself in over your head again. Now, as you can see, your major opponent is the water. It hangs on to you, drags and pulls like so much glue to hold you back. And here's another opponent right at the start. You have to figure your speed and time and position so you hit the starting line just as that last yellow vein flops to black. Not before, or you're disqualified. Not too long after, or you'll be left behind. These are the little ones, 48 cubic inches, first race of the day. Now you can see how you conquer the water. Your hydroplane steps right out of it and scoots along like a flat stone skipped across the river by a little boy. Clock beaten, water beaten. Now you have to beat the other boats and the other drivers. You don't sit down in these little ones. You kneel, taking the pounding and riding it like a wild horse as it fights the water to give you speed. Feel the speed and know you're doing well until the water reaches up and slaps you down. All you can do is wait for the rescue boat now. But someone wins. They always do. But for you, all the hours and all the preparation ends here and now. But you'll put in more work and more hours and try again some other day. But for the crowd, another race, and they've forgotten the moment of excitement you made for them. Now, just in case you think otherwise, there's a great deal more to speedboat racing than simply sitting in there bouncing around and steering around a course. There's the wake of boats to think about, for instance. A big problem if it's someone else's in ahead of you. It simply makes a path you can't travel very long and get anywhere. And they'll use it against you if they can to wash you out at the turns, like this. Watch it. They both fight back into the races after that one. The way you work yourself around the buoys can win the race for you. Take it wide and you lose time and distance you better make up in a hurry. As the day goes on, other classes, bigger ones, fascinating.
Now, why do you suppose my Auntie Kay, retired Sunday driver, got interested in all this noise and rushing around and people trying to travel faster than other people in all sorts of ways? Well, I'm going to tell you. One fine day at the tail end of the winter, My Auntie Kay finished up an early plowing on the little farm where she was born near Branford, Pennsylvania, and got to thinking about some advantages she had, not from corn or wheat or potatoes, but back there in the woods. Back there where the sun had not reached the last wet fall of snow, pumped winter and summer from deep, deep down. Rich Pennsylvania crude oil, the finest. She had seen it go to the refinery in the valley, seen it canned and sealed, seen it shipped to the far corners, Europe, the Far East, South America, because it was the best. She took the time to learn about her oil, and she could talk about viscosity and pour point and SAE ratings with the best of them. And teach it, too. She took the young motor-minded to the automotive laboratory at the refinery and made sure they understood the importance of good lubrication, of oil and grease. Sometimes we call her the Wizard of Ooze. Well, all of this gave her romantic thoughts. She got to feeling that there might be some fun and excitement going on with her oil, and she wasn't in on it. So she parked her tractor, got her everyday car ready, and went hunting. Now, my Auntie Kay is not just a watcher. She wants to know what she's watching. She's determined to find out what the internal combustion engine is, full of oil from the farm, and what it's all about, even if she had to push it around to learn. Anywhere she could find them, she asked questions. She helped at whatever they'd let her do. Anytime they needed an extra pair of hands. She won their confidence. They taught her that fine-tuning of a competition car was a job of instinctive skills and deft affection for each part and piece. That a tire could run a temperature. That the shell was a skin, a thin one, with the sole purpose of wrapping it all up in a reasonably neat package against the wind. She went over them, and under them, and into them to learn. All of this was important, the buffs told her, because the cars would not win by feet or yards, but by stopwatch seconds and parts of seconds. That a tenth of a lap a second is almost 2 minutes in 100 laps. Somewhere along the line, she made a friend of a Scotsman named Ireland, Innes Ireland, an international Grand Prix driver, who told her how you came upon those tenths of a second. On the corners, he said, all of your training, experience, and carefully schooled reflexes transmitted to the machine so that you become one with it, supplying the missing ingredient, a brain. Knowing, now she was ready to see. And one day, nestled in the hilly country of central New York State, not very far from home, she came upon Watkins Glen. Watkins to the natives, the Glen in racing publications throughout the world. In a bustling little garage off Main Street, a whirl of nothing but sports cars. Pleasure cars built not as the beast of burden so many of us must have, the family and package-carrying omnibus, but a machine with special abilities to meet any challenge of the road can offer, needing only a single human being who will understand it and care for it. And on a high, windy hill outside of town, the Watkins Glen racetrack.
There you go again. Not racetrack, a Grand Prix road circuit. Let me take it before you lose all my friends. There are the sports car races today. Amateurs who like their cars and want to see what they can do given good driving against others. 262 entries in 11 races, each in its own class. Some right out of the factory, others fashioned to the owner's taste. All kinds. Fiat Abarth, Sprite, Lotus 7, Alfa Romeo. This one its owner calls a Lofa. Lotus body, Alfa Romeo engine. And Alfa Lotus is better than none. And when you're all ready, your car and you commit yourself to race, trying to pick up a fraction of a second here, another one there. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. The straightest line is the shortest race by seconds. It begins right here. Can you outguess the starter by a fifth of a second when you dig out, then put it in your pocket and go after the next fraction? And lose it to events beyond your control. Roll bar and safety belt, that's what they're for. This driver ended up all right. With cars of the same class, there's not much difference in speed. You don't win your race passing everything in sight Hollywood style. As my friend the Scotsman named Ireland explained, you win it here, on the corners, where all of your skills and reflexes with throttle, gears, clutch, brakes, wheel, combine the shortest distance and highest speed you can make and keep your car on the circuit. You use the weight of your car to break the traction of your tires and to deliberately slide it around to reach the point where you can pour on the coal for the straightaway 1/5 of a second sooner. But there is a limit. For everyone. And the weather. Fine day for the fans, but once every time around, the sun in your eyes. Or mechanical trouble. Maybe your brakes lock. Two of you can't take the same short line around a corner, and the one who gets it wins the piece of a second. And it can be worse than that if you make a bad move. Your competitive spirit says finish the race anyway. Or if your car isn't really well today, somehow, some way, stay in front of someone. Don't be lapped unless there's nothing you can do about it. For every race, a winner. You, if everything combines to make it so. Your car, your skill, the weather, the traffic patterns, the circuit itself, 100 circumstances of one kind or another. 25,000 people came to see the sports car races at the Glen. Some curious, but most of them sports car buffs. They come early, participate fully, build their own scaffold grandstands. And at the end of the day, they tear them down and hurry home. And so do I.
But not for long, because soon she heard that at Idlewild International Airport, the racing cars were arriving for the Grand Prix of the United States, the tight little, bright little Formula Ones designated for Grand Prix competition at the famous circuits of the world, Spa, Monza, Monaco, Zandvoort, the others. This one for the Lotus Factory team to be driven by a Scotsman named Ireland. And back to the Glen she came by chopper, anything that moves with a motor in it. She noticed something for the first time, the circuit itself, the final challenge to man and machine. This one built specially to test both with the bends, corners, straightaways, hills, and dips. Here was something to find out about. So at her motel, she built a model of it and found a way to get to know it well. Can't you just hear her?
From the start, you get across to the left-hand side of the road, cut in close to the right, and accelerate hard. The clubhouse S's are on the brow of a hill, which you have to drive blind. You put your car into a slide just before you can see over the top of the hill, here.
Come through this fast curve into the main straightaway, where you reach the highest speed at the end of about 150 miles an hour. At the remarker post...
She knew how the circuit was driven because she was told by an expert, Sterling Moss of England, sometimes called the fastest driver in the world, to whom she dragged her model for explanations on the spot. She would remember his words as the race progressed. But first, there was practice. They call it practice, but it's an important part of the race. Fastest practice laps determine grid positions, in what order the cars will line up for the start, and the International Grand Prix drivers are here to try for the first position. Skilled professionals from Australia, England, Scotland, New Zealand, Sweden, Belgium, and the United States. And when the last one is in, there's excitement, for they are fast. Weather warm and fair, track dry, it'll be a good race to watch. The crowd piles in now, streaming into the infield. The International Grand Prix champion, an American, takes a bow, though he will not drive today. Engines are primped and pampered. Here, John Cooper with one of his Coopers competing today with the Lotuses, BRMs, and Porsches. Walt Hanskin, who will drive for the owner, international sportsman Briggs Cunningham. Pit activity among drivers, mechanics, and friends until, at last, the Grand Prix of the United States. On the grid, it's Brabham, Graham Hill, Boss, and McLaren up front as the starter begins his dance. Boss dives by Hill after Brabham. And the pack pours after them, heading through the S's. Down the front straight, into the loop, out of the loop, into the chute. Hill's BRM drops a patch of oil. This could be trouble. Boss in number 7 ahead on the back straight. Down to the hard right, leading the parade around the 90-degree turn. First lap, it's Boss, Brabham, Ireland, Gurney, Gregory, McLaren. 100 times they'll pound around the circuit, 230 miles. Boss still leads. The patch of oil gives Ireland trouble on the second lap. The back straight toward the big bend. Through the bend. After the hard right, they pick up their pit signals. The pack can't know that Brabham and Boss have forgotten about them. It's Brabham now with Boss's 4-cylinder Lotus pushing at him in the loop. But the Cooper V8 has the bit extra to back him off this time. Brabham number 1, Boss number 7. Both heavy-footed now in a duel that asks the limits of skill and performance, shooting like rabbits, with the hounds growling behind, nipping at each other in their eagerness. Behind them, Hanskin avoids Gendebien and spins out as he enters the back straight. Bonnier keeps plugging away. The 60,000 people here today see the duel between the front runners, wearing on drivers and machines circuit after circuit. Behind the leaders, there's still more race. And suddenly, halfway through, Boss is all alone. Brabham, his water liner leaking, has hit the pits, where the race is over for number 1. And no consolation that a few laps later, Boss is in there too. The duel is over. The Scotsman named Ireland inherits first place. Pressed by Hill, he almost loses it looking for him. But Hill's in the pits too, trying to get back out. Gurney slipstreams Salvadori, but can't keep it up for long. Hill shows admirable calm as he tries to restart, to no avail. You enter the S's blind, Sterling Moss told by Auntie Kay. Of the loop and shoot, he said.
Got this corner here called the loop, and the loop is taken from the left-hand side of the road, ducking down again into the right and letting it swing out wide at the end as you come out of it. And then you come down into what's known as a chute, which is quite a fast corner because it's banked up on the left-hand side fairly steeply for a road-type circuit. And you start on the left and swoop down the banking into the dip and then out and into the back straight.
And of the hard right, he said.
Which of course isn't quite straight. This is quite an acute corner here, although it has been made easier for this year's race. And we start right on the left, cut very close into the right, and slide out to the left again, and across in front of the pits, down to the start and finish line here.
Near the end now, Salvadori and Gurney battle for second spot, and Clark, though lapped, gets into the act. Salvadori chomps down hard to stave off Gurney, and his engine blows. Gurney romps by. But it's the Scotsman named Ireland in the Green Lotus at the finish. Gurney, Brooks, and McLaren finish in that order. Salvadori finishes on his feet. The time, 2 hours, 13 minutes, 45 and 8/10 seconds. Average speed, 103.17 miles an hour. In the winner's circle for his just desserts, the winner of the Grand Prix of the United States, Innes Ireland of Scotland. Salvadori, who almost made it, pushes it in. For Innes, the wreath and the kiss, and another race somewhere else. And by Auntie Kay, of course, feels she knew it all the time. As for my Auntie Kay, to go home in? What next?